So I'm Tom Kendall and co-owner with this property with Zaia, caretakers of this property, you might say.
I'm Zaia Kendall, I'm Tom's wife, I'm Tom's biggest support.
From this property we run a not-for-profit organisation called Permeco.
I do a bit of garden work and I do a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, such as organising courses, organising the calendar, organising the website. I do the website myself. I was a web developer in a previous life.
The property here we're using as a demonstration site of permaculture basically, but in reality we are more on the sustainable living side of things. I have been brought up to be a resourceful person and living within your means. That's because I've come from a property that's in Western Australia that was limited in rainfall, and so it was a marginal country, so we didn't have a surplus amount of economy, and so with that it's sort of a background for me to be resourceful within your region.
I did ski racing, slalom and giant slalom for several years, and that was the reason why I actually came to Australia, because I ended up breaking my ankle in the European season, and then I had to, in order to get my points up for that season, I had to go to Australia in order to do racing here.
This property I've done on a low budget, and I've been resourceful with what we have here, and permaculture is about living within your energy systems that nature provides you. And my wife Zaia has been an integral part of that, and so we run courses and classes here, and I also have an online course, and she does most of the administration side of that, and I do most of the physical stuff around the property, and we have animal systems here to create fertility, have our fertility systems, and we try not to buy in. We try and buy in as limited amount of material as we can, because we know all those materials that come into the property have been done so by using fossil fuels, and we're aware that that is a major issue for the planet, of the exploitation of fossil fuels.
Why I chose a permaculture lifestyle, it's a really interesting pondering actually. I wanted simplicity. I was very, probably a bit fed up with what was going on out there. The constant need to achieve, the constant need to get more money, the constant need for more stuff. And I just wanted something more simple.
But I'm really passionate mostly about the property, because I'm always passionate about landscape, and because landscape functions best in its own right if you allow nature to do it, even though it might take a very long time, if you just leave it to do its own thing. So if we can study that a bit and maybe help to accelerate that process, as to allow nature to do its thing. I'm not on the other side of the camera, so I'm not exactly sure what's behind me here, but it's actually quite lush, and it's really interesting how that's happened. I had a person come through that we did a trade, and she came through and she was really amazed with the garden, and sort of, well, what are you seeing? You know, and she said, oh, this is a tropical garden. And I said, oh, I never designed a tropical garden. You know, that wasn't my intention. I just did the basic principles of permaculture, so some strategies and techniques suitable to a subtropic sort of a climate, and I played a bit with some shade trees and some not shade trees and whatever, but anyhow in time it developed into this. So that's where form follows function, and so the function is the design of the permaculture design, utilising outflow from the house where the swales go, and then just allowing things to grow and express themselves, and not be too hands-on, because I'm actually not much of a gardener. I'm a designer of landscape. Awareness is more my thing, and it's turned into this space.
In the party years, we call them, you know, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they're the party years where everything was just dandy and everyone could just burn through the fossil fuels and it was all great. In those years we've actually educated and fostered very egocentric people. we need to get away from that, and the only way you can step out of that is by starting to do things for other people, starting to do things for the environment, starting to do things for the good of everything.
You're always learning, and we've been here 15 years, and I've noticed the change occurring. I've really focused mostly on productive plants and known support species to help your food forest grow as an example. So we use a lot of legumes and stuff like that. Every plant or plant has got a functionality in its productivity, whether it's a food or whether it's a support species, hence the nitrogen fixes. When you look at what we need to make our properties function, build soil, build ecology, protect the soil, is we need biodiversity, biomass, and accumulated organic matter. So everything you're doing, you're trying to bring that into your system. So to protect the soil via protecting and providing a space for the soil biodiversity to function.
Resilience for me is something that we need to be able to take any event that comes our way in our stride without it majorly affecting our ability to exist. If you can do that, if you have the tools, and I mean by tools, I mean the skills and the knowledge and the stamina to be able to actually do these things, then you can be resilient to anything, whether it's a pandemic or it's an earthquake or another major natural disaster, whether it's war, anything like that. It's not just the systems that you've already set up for yourself, but it's also your adaptability to whatever may come your way in order that you can deal with that and make other systems or put other systems in place to be able to deal with that. With the pandemic, when the pandemic came along, nothing much changed for us. I mean, we can easily just keep on going. It's not a big issue for us. To be resilient is to be able to keep living, keep functioning, and keep having a lifestyle whilst things are happening.
So the lifestyle that we have now is a lot different than what I had previously had. So I've gone through a big change from what I was doing in Western Australia to here in how I am, how I behave, and or even when we're doing the organics in Western Australia, we were actually getting organic food, but we weren't growing very much food, very minimal. I didn't have time when you got a 7,000 acre property. So what we're doing in a permaculture, which is polyculture, because society's all linear, you know, you just keep moving forward and you bring in all the things you need to it and leave all the pollution behind you as you go. And with a polyculture, you don't. You know, everything, there is no pollution. It's resource. If it is pollution, you've done something wrong. You've got to change. You've got to bring in another system to deal with that.
An ecosystem's only created if you have a diverse range of species, animal and plant, in an area. A forest is the most sustainable thing on the planet because it can continually produce energy itself to maintain itself. And we, I guess, emulate that system by just planting diversity all the time and having diverse animal and plant systems together. We really need to introduce more diversity in here. There's never enough diversity as far as I'm concerned. Just get more in. But yeah, focus on diversity, and that's with everything in nature. Just plant lots of different stuff.
So a couple of years ago, the word Syntropic started to come onto the radar, and it would be asked a question or two in courses. I had a little bit of an inkling what it was about, but I thought I need to check this out. It's the same with holistic management. A student asked me about holistic management. I had no idea what he's talking about, so I had to study it and bought some books and checked it out. So with the Syntropic, there's not so many books, but I went and did a course, and I really like it, the Syntropic. You could say it's a variation of food forest, but it's actually very strategically quantified, put together. There's a lot of information in it, and the idea from it is production. This is a pretty good lifestyle. It's definitely not for many people, but many people probably really need to do it if we're going to save the planet. So yeah, this planet will be fine. We're going to save the human race on this planet. A lot more people have to embrace how we live.
I am very aware that there's a lot of people that are living in smaller areas, and they might only have a balcony, or they might only have their inside space, or they might only have a little courtyard space. It is no excuse not to have diversity around you. You can still create diversity in whatever space you are. So get out there and do container gardening. Get some containers and just fill it up with all sorts of vegetables and little fruit trees. Have some little containers with small fruit trees. These days you can buy dwarf fruit trees, so there's no excuse not to have a miniature food forest all in pots in your environment. And failing that, if you really don't have space because you only got one room or whatever it is, go and connect up with your local community and find a community garden. If there's not a community garden in your area, create one. Start one with some friends. Just see whether the council owns a plot of land that you can have access to. Most councils are happy for you to do something like that because that means that they don't have to maintain it. So go and start community gardens, and then just plant diverse foods and fruit and food forests. Butter and
You missed your pancakes?
I'll show you how it's
What do you
done.
mean?
It's always a bit sad when you realise you forgot to put the cream in.
With housing affordability becoming increasingly difficult for many, we've partnered with Tiny Homes Australia, who provide high quality, cost-effective alternatives. So if you're looking for alternative housing options, get in touch with Tiny Homes Australia. They're offering a $5,000 saving for those who contact them and mention the discount code PANTRY. Tiny Homes Australia delivers globally, so get in touch with them about your next tiny home. Visit tinyhomesaustralia.com.au/contact us. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please share and subscribe to our channel so we can spread the love of syntropics, regenerative farming and self-reliance along the way.